Good evening, everybody. I would like to call the Monday, February 12th, 2024 City Council meeting to order. Roll call. Councillor Smith and Councillor Lovewell are absent. All other councillors are present. This evening, I believe Councillor Bagley is going to read the invocation.
Thank you. Please join me in an attitude of prayer. We pray for our country at all times, that all citizens are safe, healthy, and happy. We pray for wisdom for all those who guide and govern. Help this government body in every situation to know and to do the things that are right and just, with soundness of judgment in making vital decisions. We pray for the peacemakers, that the holy life-giving spirit may ever dwell in their hearts, and the barriers of fear, suspicion, and hatred may fall. This we pray to the Holy Father. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I would like to make a quick amendment to the roll call before we proceed. Councillor Lovewell is in attendance. I am here. So everybody would please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ahead of myself there. Yes. Could everybody please just make sure you have your microphones on as well? Okay, perfect. Alrighty. Item number 4 on the agenda this evening is public forum. Danielle, did you have anyone write in for public forum?
I did not.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak? Please come on up to the podium and state your name and address.
Mayor, councilors, city manager, I came here tonight to talk a little bit about budgets and how they're done. My disagreement with the way they were done, looking at the first session you had, I just explained to your public works director why I was here, and he showed me his budget, and it would appear you've already made the changes. One of the big things, and when I was on council, there was no choice because the timing was different. And we compared the budget last year to the budget this year. But now that you've changed the timing, there's no reason not to compare it with the actuals. And from what Mr. Willetta showed me, I guess that's the way they're going to be done. So I'm sure the first ones will be done the same way and redone the same way. I mean, business only compares actuals to actuals. And, you know, I've done budgets that are 10, 20 times the size of the city of Caribou's budget in my day. And normally, had to present them to the owner of the company. And obviously, he had the choice of whether he wanted to accept what I was forwarding to him, or he wanted to make the changes. In this case, there's the owner of this company. There's 7,500 citizens roughly that live out here in the city of Caribou. But they've got that down to 7 people that have got to do it for them. And I just hope that all of you consider the 7,000 citizens that are out there when you're doing this budget. Because we know we've got a new fire station coming, or a new police station coming, which we need. And in the next few years, that's going to make a big difference. Whether I'm right or wrong, I have personal concerns about the state government and what they're going to do for the cities in the future. Right now, they have some extra money, but I went through times when they never ever met their promises of what they were going to forward on to the cities. And if that happens again, now you have another very large amount of money that you're going to have to make up. And the only ones that can do it are the taxpayers. A couple other comments about the budget. There's a lot of lines in the budget that are zero. They've been zero for 3 or 4 years. I don't know how necessary it is to have those in there, because it just makes it difficult when you're looking down through everything. And I think you ought to just take those lines out. If you want to leave one miscellaneous line in each department, fine, put $200 in or something for each department. But to have all these lines that we never spend any money on, I just avoid having them and carry on without them. And the other comment I'll make, right or wrong, whether you agree or not, when I was on council, I spent 6 years there, and one of the things we did do, we did away with all charitable donations. And we did away with it for one straight reason. We didn't feel it was our right to give money of the citizens of Caribou and make the decision that we're going to give it to this charity, that charity, and not to this one, and not to that one. Citizens want to give to charity, more power to them. I give to charities, I'm sure most of you give to charities as well. But I really don't think it's council's place to decide who gets the citizens of Caribou's money. And with that, I'll leave it. I wish you all the best this year and in the coming years, because Caribou may face some difficult times here in the very near future. So, good luck to you all, and thanks for listening. I wasted a lot of time coming because of the way I thought the budget was done. But I will say that I think the department managers here in Caribou overall do an excellent job. I always enjoyed working with them. They're no different than people I work with in private industry. Some of them occasionally want to add a little fluff here or there in their budgets, but usually nothing drastic. So, but I also believe there's never a time when you can't reduce a budget, especially when it's the first go around. I know the department managers that I would call on when I was sitting up there to try to do something, and I can honestly say they normally did it. So they realize the importance of the cost to the city as well. All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Mr.
you, Gary.
Aiken. Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Would you mind just introducing yourself, because there are some folks here who have not met you.
Well, I'm Gary Aiken. I guess I moved to Caribou 22 years ago, and was not planning on staying here when I moved here, but it was actually the 13th career move that I made, and I think when you get older, you don't want to move so much. Because I said, well, you know, this isn't a bad place. We got 4 seasons, but we don't have tornadoes, we don't have earthquakes, we don't have hurricanes. I guess I could stand living here. Well, winter's starting to bother me more than it used to. I served on the city council for 6 years, I guess, 5 of them as mayor. And my background in business has always been in the food industry. And I worked for some international companies. I worked for the Irvings, and I worked for the McCain's the last 28 years that I was employed. So anyway, and congratulations, ladies. Glad to see you all up, and I'm glad to see you all got a seat. There'll be another vacant one over there shortly. It's up to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
He also should be recognized, he's actually the chair of this Caribou Utilities District Board of Directors.
That is right. That's right. Is there anybody else from the public who wishes to speak?
Hi there, good evening, Council. I'm here Troy Haney, here to speak on, represent the Caribou Development Committee. Speaking on behalf or bringing up a point of the police station location that we're building, or proposed building. And about 3 months ago, Council had asked the Caribou Development Committee to look at the Bird's Eye lot for development. It was unknown to us at the time that the location of the police station had kind of been, I don't want to say decided upon, but sort of looked at because of the spot in the area that's cleaned in the property and available to build on. Looking at that and starting to analyze that through the process, it became abundantly clear that if we locate the police station where it's currently proposed, it'll basically rendering the rest of the acreage sort of useless from a development standpoint, because retail establishments, things like that, if you want to do a mixed use as we discussed, would be down in the back and difficult to get to or see. So before we, basically what I'm asking is before we fix and land on an exact spot, I would like to have the opportunity with the Caribou Development Committee to come in with some proposals so we can actually look at it from a whole use standpoint versus the constraints of just having one clean spot, because ultimately the whole lot needs to be properly cleaned. I'm not disagreeing with location, that decision was made years ago. So I want to make sure I'm clear. It's just about location within that same parcel of land to get the best, most valuable use out of that property for the city of Caribou and development-wise and use. So it's generally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public who wishes to speak this evening? Okay. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda are the minutes from August 28th, September 25th, and January 22nd. So we'll go ahead and start with the minutes from the August 28th meeting. Everyone had a chance to look those over?
What's that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the August 28th regular city council meetings as presented.
Second.
Your package?
Moved and seconded. Questions?
Is there something wrong?
I did have a correction. Do you want it?
Yep, that's
Hear the
fine.
correction? Hold on. just a
Oh, no, I was just trying to see, is there a packet here too? The agenda?
I think Counselor Lovewell is missing her
Yeah,
packet.
sorry. Thank you.
I don't know who picks them up downstairs.
Oh, yeah,
and who
no,
doesn't.
I
Always send
messaged, but there were so
downstairs.
many messages, so, sorry.
Counselor Bagley, you
Ignore
had
me.
something? Yeah, go ahead if you want
Mayor,
to.
Yes, I did have two corrections, I think two corrections on this one. In council agenda item 5, the roll call vote, Bagley voted aye on that. Not no. And council agenda item 6B, likewise, Bagley voted aye on that.
And that's the copy and paste function that's broke for me, huh?
And that's the what?
Copy and paste.
It might be, well, speaking of copy and paste, you have some, after the very last, J. Smith, yes, and that's consistent throughout, if it matters, a C plus, yeah, or C point.
Yep,
Yeah, I noticed that. And
I can fix all those. You need that too.
and I think that was it.
Okay. Any other errors, omissions, anything from the August 28th meeting? Okay. So can we now approve that motion, or do we need to make a new motion?
Make a motion that we accept those minutes as presented with the amended corrections.
Second.
Okay, discussion. All right. Bagley?
Aye.
Okay, where's my little list
list?
of my alphabetical
Oh,
list?
you're in trouble.
Lovewell?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Laurel?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Hey, not bad, huh?
Okay.
Not bad. Let's see if I can do that a second time. Okay, now on to the minutes from the September 25th meeting. Any errors, omissions, comments on the minutes from that meeting?
Madam Mayor, I have one correction. Right at the very top of the page, the date should reflect September 25th, not August 28th.
Yeah. Got it.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what are the wishes of the council?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the minutes for the September 25th regular city council meeting with the amended date as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrell?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, and now on to the January 22nd minutes. What are the wishes of the council?
Madam Mayor, I have a couple corrections. Council agenda number 7, item B. Down at the bottom, it seems like the result of the vote is missing. I believe that motion passed unanimously.
The vote is not there.
Pardon me?
Yeah, the whole vote line's not there.
I did, right, I noticed
See
that
the
that wasn't
motion and
there.
the second,
And
yeah.
that was unanimous.
I think so.
It was.
And that was the one that the video was completely off, so
Yep, they still have all the notes.
you do, okay, awesome. And then the second one, likewise, there's a vote missing. Agenda item 10. Right after the roll call vote for the Caribou Horizons Youth Council, there was another vote to set an agenda item discussion for 25 March 24 for a land bank proposal. And I believe that was passed unanimously as well. But I don't know. That was my recollection anyway.
Danielle, if you want to just take time to review that one and.
Yeah, we'll get back to that on the.
Okay.
I have that in my notes, and I don't know what the vote was, but I have it that that's the date.
Yeah. I don't have the vote on the top of my head, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know it passed, and I think it was unanimous,
I
but.
think it was too.
Yeah, okay.
Anything
No,
else?
That was all.
Okay, what are
Thank
the
you.
wishes of the council?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented with the amended corrections.
Second?
Motion second, discussion. Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, now for the exciting stuff. Item number 6A on the agenda is the Lady Vikings varsity basketball team and Madeline Depre.
My God.
We have Madeline here tonight to celebrate her 1,000 career points. Do you want to?
Caribou High School has a long history of high-performing student athletes. The Caribou City Council would like to take this opportunity to recognize Madeline Depre for her recent achievement of scoring her 1,000th career point as a junior.
Wow.
Ms. Depre is here tonight with her teammates along with the Lady Vikings varsity basketball coach Kayla Brown and athletic director Evan Graves. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Madeline. Come on up. So this is such an amazing achievement, and we are so proud of you. The council's proud of you. The community's proud of you.
Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, and we're also proud of this team who is headed to States this weekend. So, and your game is at noon on Saturday, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Very exciting. So, on behalf of the council, I'd like to congratulate you, congratulate your team. And would anyone from the council like to say anything to these ladies?
Go get him, buddy. Go get him. Burn him up. Chew him up.
Yes. Yeah. Team, come on up. Madeline, come on back.
That's so exciting.
Actually, we can kind of stand here and.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you should. All right.
Quite the.
Okay, this little microphone is jamming me all up here. Okay.
I don't remember
Okay, why don't you guys just kind of
in my day.
gather in here?
Courtney, how come you're so short?
Huh?
How come you look so
I know I
short?
should have worn my heels today. Madeline.
Look
at all these girls.
girls.
All right, squeeze in, squeeze in.
We should sing it.
All right, we are all good.
When I picked that packet up, it was like, all right, I need a notebook.
It's Mr. Graves, everyone.
Hi. Just running late at the shop. Dishwasher's taking a long time to get out.
Okay.
What time do you close up shop?
Shop closes at
My face might crack. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank you
girl.
all for coming.
I'm glad you live in Caribou, not Presque Isle.
Good job.
shouldn't have said that. Whatever.
Excuse me.
The truth is the truth.
Okay, next up is item 6B.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Mr. Graves. 6B, appointment to the Caribou Planning Board on page 18 of your packet. The Caribou Planning Board received an email from member Justin Staples that he would no longer be able to serve. In January, 2 citizens brought their names forward for the positions held by 2 incumbent members who were reappointed. Those applying are Daniel Amaro and Maura Bishop. Their applications follow this memo. Both applicants were contacted by the Caribou City Clerk and are still interested in serving. In January, Daniel Amaro was appointed to the Caribou Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, while Maura Bishop was not appointed to a committee. Both applicants are well qualified, and the Planning Board reviewed both applications and would be happy to have either one serve with them on the Caribou Planning Board. So what are the wishes of the council?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we accept Daniel Amaro as the new representative of the Caribou Planning Board.
Okay, I do not have a second.
Madam Mayor, I would move to appoint Maura Bishop on the planning board.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Okay, Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, today we do have a public hearing from Ordinance 1, the 2024 series, and this is the amendment to the Caribou Development Committee, Chapter 22. That's on pages 21 through 29 of your packet. So Penny, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing, then maybe you'd like to give some background before we get started?
And you do have your development committee chair here too. You might want to speak.
Okay, I am opening this public hearing at 6:22 PM.
So at their December meeting, the Caribou Development Committee requested that an additional non-voting ex officio member be added to the committee, the general manager of the Caribou Utilities District. Mr. Kirkpatrick's assistance has been very valuable to the group so far, and the committee desires to make his partnership official within Chapter 22. The change to the ordinance would need to be approved by the Caribou City Council following a public hearing on the ordinance changes. Tonight, the public hearing is scheduled.
Thank you, Penny. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak? Is there anybody from the city council who has questions or comments? Okay, we'll politely wait another couple of seconds.
1002.
Okay, public hearing is closed at 6:23.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 1 of the 2024 series to the amendment, Chapter 22, Caribou Development Committee.
Second?
Discussion?
And I will say that that is probably a very profound piece of the development process because of the position that he serves in as part of our utilities district. So I think it's a very well-deserved position to create.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I fully support the addition. I applaud the CED manager for stepping up and being part of this development as a community. I think that's wonderful. And I fully support this motion.
Great. Okay, Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Can you just sign papers after this?
Yep.
You can find them later if you need to.
That's fine.
Okay, item number 8, reports by staff and committees. We first up have our finance director to talk about our financial report from December. Carl?
Evening, Mayor, Councilor, Managers. On page 30 of the packet we have. That's the outline. I will be going through on the following pages, however. So over on page 31, December finances, total assets on hand at the end of the year was $14,197,161.21. Cash on hand was $7,634,841.47. Down to the bottom of the page, under the 23 tax receivable, we collected $321,637.37 in the month of December, bring our year-to-date balance to $7,902,369.84 collected of the 2023 tax commitment, leaving a remainder balance of $738,733.22. That brings us up to 90.7% total collected, and that's about 6.7% lower than last year at the same time.
So 90% collected
90.7, yes, sir.
at the end of December. Got it.
Moving on to the next page.
May I ask a question on 31? The line right under it, the negative 31 for 2024 receivables, I was confused by that because we're not even in 2024 yet in December.
Yeah, so we collected, even though we're not in 2024, we did collect $15,000 in the month of December towards prepayments.
Oh.
We have a total of $91,000 collected through the end of December on prepayments.
Okay, for 2024.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't aware that they started paying early like that. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. On the next page at the bottom, the liabilities ending for December 31st was $9,741,830.33. Moving over to page 35, I just want to note that halfway down the page shows you the 2024 taxpayer relief fund that you guys approved at the January 22nd meeting. $608,498. Moving over to the next page, the fund balance, about a third of the way down the page, we ended at $4,455,330.88. I'm moving over to page 38, our expenses. Expenses for the month of December came in at $1,673,411.64, bringing a total of $598,820.63, bringing our percentage at 98.3, so we were down from our budgeted figure by 1.7%. Moving over to page 43. Revenues for the month came in at $997,337.12, bringing a total revenue for the year at $11,464,492.64. Our percentage came in at 9.3% over budget. Just a couple of side notes on our excise tax. For the month of December, we were at $94,993.68, bringing our year-to-date total at $1,663,415.85. We were over budget for the year at 9.1%, about $93,000 compared to 2022 higher. Revenue sharing came in at $159,528.63 for the month of December. The year-to-date balance was $2,132,431.10. And again, that was over budget by 9.4% for about $182,000. Going over to page 48, our investment report. Had a couple of CDs that we renewed in the fourth quarter. One being the Philip Turner Library Memorial. We renewed that for a year at 5%. And then the Ken Matthews Scholarship, we renewed for 6 months at 3.75%. And on the next page, we have the revenue for the year draft. And again, we collected 1.9%, which is 9.3% over budget, $973,136. That's my financial report. Does anyone have any questions?
It's pretty good. What happens to that extra money?
You voted to
Move it.
bring 608 over for 2024.
Yep.
Tax relief, and the rest will be lapsed for 2025.
Very good.
I just want to make a comment that these are unaudited, obviously.
Right.
with the audit.
I wanted to make sure it was the same pot of money. I wanted to make sure I understood that. So, yep, makes sense.
So Carl, I see our liabilities were up a little bit, but, in December. And why was that, I guess? I mean, we started off at 7 million, whatever, and we went to 9 million. Was there any specific reason, I guess? I don't know. Or is it just the nature of the beast? Is that how it runs?
I mean, I'd have to dig into.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions for Carl?
Make your motion to accept the financials as presented.
Second.
Motion seconded, discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrell?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Carl.
Well,
We're making money, right?
making money, we don't make money.
We're saving money, right?
Whatever we have left goes to taxation.
Well, yeah, wow.
Good answer, Carl. Okay, now up next for 8B, we have the city manager's report. Penny.
Okay, so Riverfront Power Plants, the Caribou Riverfront Redevelopment Committee is a steering committee for the Riverfront Power Plants Brownfields project. A public hearing was held on Tuesday, January 30th at 6 to discuss the analysis of brownfields cleanup alternatives and the community engagement plan. There is a 30-day comment period on the ABCA that's open now. The broadband, after I did this, I did get an email, which I have shared with the council, and that is, I'm happy to share we are continuing to finalize the contract with Charter. We have received an updated budget and scope of work that covers all of the communities in the grant, and we are currently reviewing that and ensuring there are no additional questions that arise. We are also in the process of finalizing the location list for the contract. Charter's central design team has been working with us to identify the locations that remain to be served, as identified in the latest version of the maps provided by the FCC. We have received the latest transfer of data/locations and are reviewing it to ensure consistency with the original grant application and the state's understanding of service in each community. The remainder of the contractual elements have been provided, and we have combined them with the base contract. Once the list of locations, scope of work, and budget are confirmed 100%, we'll present the entire package to Charter for execution. Events and marketing, the trails are open. Have fun and be safe, and please patronize our Caribou businesses. There will be an eclipse on April 8th, 2024. Caribou is in the path of totality. Land Bank, Councilor Bagley has information to present about moving forward with a land bank initiative. This will be on the March 25th City Council meeting agenda. Chapter 13 rewrite, the Caribou Planning Board met on February 8th, and it was discussed. The Federal American Rescue Plan Act. So the last 2 years, we've been successful in obtaining funds through the Aroostook County ARPA fund match for different projects in public safety. And those letters of interest are due, actually, of course, I typed this the week before, so it's actually this week, So they're due on Friday. Karen and I actually talked today at length about the ARPA grants and other grant projects we're working on. But anyway, those are due this week, and we're actually submitting letters in 2 different categories this year. So we'll see how that goes. blight cleanup, both the city council and the planning board are prioritizing this for 2024. Caribou Development Committee, their next meeting is Wednesday, February 27th. They did hold a successful icebreaker on January 29th. The Riverfront Master Plan, staff has received a partial notice to proceed on the MBRC grant for the NEPA review, but not for the master plan. The facade improvement plan, the spring facade improvement grant period is now open with a March 15th application deadline. The Caribou Economic Growth Council met on Thursday, the 25th at 7, and for 2024, their theme is compliance. They're working on making sure that all of their loans, everything's been followed up, and the ones that need insurance have insurance, and just trying to make sure that all the paperwork is done correctly. Business outreach, our business newsletter will be going out soon with tools to prepare our local businesses for all of the Eclipse visitors that I hear are coming.
All the hotels are booked, right?
They are, and I got an email today from the transportation specialist for FAA out of Boston that it is also, they're like, we're going to be giving you more details, but this is going to be a big deal, you know, for airports. And FAA has said we can't have a Star Park at the airport. We're having it at the Wellness Center, but apparently we may still have some airport traffic that day.
Tyler Swift coming?
I cannot confirm or deny that, Councilor Morrow.
Couldn't resist.
Yes, so I guess it's going to be a big deal.
Gary, are you ready for this?
Yeah. So
Tyler Swift
Batten
coming.
down the hatches. It's going to be big.
yeah. So Nylander Dino Days are coming during February break. The police station is on tonight's agenda. LD 2003 implementation, the planning board received a document for their review from Northern Maine Development Commission. Age-friendly efforts, we met on January 23rd, and stay tuned for more details on upcoming programs. Personnel changes, a new assistant city clerk, Patricia Romano, started her position on Friday, February 9th. Our DOT Village Partnership Initiative, there'll be a kickoff meeting on Friday, March 1st. Heuristic Waste Solutions, we met on Friday, January 26th. Cary Medical Center, the 100th anniversary of Jefferson Cary's vision for a Caribou Community Hospital will be celebrated all year long in 2024. Other updates, Caribou is blessed with many amazing volunteers and service organizations. And I got to speak at one of our service organizations last week, the Kiwanis Club, and they were very, very kind and very excited about all the great things going on in Caribou, and they wanted me to send their thanks to all of you who are working hard to make Caribou a better community.
I just had a question. In regards to broadband initiative, I was listening to the radio this weekend on WCXU, and of course there's a big drive for the blood bank to get blood donors. And the Caribou Utilities District actually ran the ad to support this blood drive thing, but I actually was telling people that if you needed broadband, you could call their office and they could sign you up for broadband. And actually, I heard this ad 2 or 3 times because I was working, whatever. And I was just curious about that. I wish Mr. Aiken was here, he could probably address it, but I was just curious about that and why that is going on, because it's not really true. So and it's something I think that should be addressed. But it was on the radio. You know, and I'm sure that you guys at CXU could follow up with that ad. But I just was wondering why they were putting that out there. Whether it's an old ad they just decided to rerun or something. But I thought it was misleading. It kind of disturbs me a little bit. But anyways, but it was on there.
Yeah, their charter was changed to offer broadband, is all
Well,
I know.
maybe that's
So
what it
I
is.
don't know if maybe they sent them something and they designed their own ad.
Well, whatever. So.
I mean, I do all my own stunts, but not everyone
No,
does.
right. That wasn't done by them, it was done by one of the announcers. So.
Yeah, right, that's what I'm saying. Like mine,
Right.
I always record all
Yes.
of mine first.
And your voice is so pleasant.
I have a face for radio, so
You have
stick
a
to that.
You have a voice for radio.
Yeah,
It's true story.
Thank you, Penny. Okay, The next item on our agenda is 9A, and this is regarding the Aroostook Area Agency on Aging, and they are asking for an access point. Penny, would you like to show?
So we have Jenny Joels here. So Aroostook Agency on Aging is rolling out a new program called Access Points to provide greater outreach to area residents. Caribou has been identified as a community that could benefit from this program, and the Caribou Public Library has been identified as a location that would meet the needs of the program. So tonight, Jenny Joels and Judy Anderson are here to provide a high-level overview of the Access Points project. The MOU and BAA from Agency on Aging are included in the packet, as well as a press release from earlier this year. And Jenny sent me earlier today this Access Points project information, which you have there at your
Yes,
seat.
we do. Thank you. Thank you for coming this evening.
You're welcome, and thank you for welcoming us. I'm Jenny Joels, a resident of Mapleton. Judy Anderson's with me. She's a resident of Woodland, a long-time Caribou fan, and grew up in Caribou. So we are here to tell you about the Access Point, which is a wonderful opportunity for your community, as well as Northern Maine. So the handout, the first one that talks about the purpose. The thing that's not covered in there is this comes from funding that is congressionally designated funds, and it is signed off by Senator Angus King and endorsed by our very own Susan Collins, who loves people that age and age well in our communities. The second handout is the listing of all of the communities that we have reached out to. And the column on the right shows a suggested time frame for an agency person to be on staff at those locations for 4 hours. To take people to drop in or to have them by appointments. And at each site, there are 16 that are committed, and hopefully we'll get your full commitment tonight to be the 17. 8 sites now are licensed. They have Microsoft Teams software, 55-inch screens, furniture, training, and training is still underway. 3 are scheduled to go up by the end of the month, and we really are progressing quite well. There are a couple of communities, including Caribou, that are going through the MOU process. Through a rigorous bid process, we are using all county vendors. Northern Business Products won the bid, and they are supplying tables, chairs, credenza, and file cabinet for each of the sites. Voisin Technology Services out of Fort Kent is doing the IT package, and it's standard to each location, dual screens, a NUC, which is a small computer, backup speakers, microphones. It's Logitech and Teams combination. Steve Daigle is the vendor that will help with wayfinding signs so that people know how to get to, if we approve, Caribou Library and other locations. He'll also do Google pin drops that profile where your location is, what it is, what your hours are. So hopefully we're well advertised. Zell Creative, Bethany Zell, I think from Caribou, is doing our marketing pieces. Printed flyers, QR code that leads us to a website that the little Karen stone that's at the top of your first handout is our logo. Well, one of those stones has the name of Caribou on it, and so when you go to the website, you click on that stone and you'll find out what programs are being offered, not only by the Agency on Aging, but when that equipment is not being used, it's open to the community. And so library staff is, I think, excited about offering programs as well. So it's not just programming for the city of Caribou. We think about 16 locations. You could have somebody that's teaching Tai Chi in Washburn hitting 16 locations all throughout Northern Maine. You're paying for one instructor to get other people. Might be 4 or 5, it could be 10 at each location. So we looked at several locations. Well, in November, we had an introductory meeting. We met with City Manager Penny Thompson. Elizabeth Singer joined our steering committee. And we solicited others who wants to help us find the place in Caribou that is fitting to be the access point. We asked department heads, what do you have for ideas? Do you know of people that want to be on the steering committee? Do you know of locations that would be fitting for us? So we looked at several locations, and what our need was: strong internet access, a place that is safe, ADA compliant, room for 10 to 12 people, and a nonprofit. The equipment that is granted to the agency right now, the grant itself, $862,000 going all through northern Maine, transitions after 3 years. We have to own it for 3 years, and it transitions to your community after 3 years. So Peter Baldwin is here tonight supporting us. Caribou Public Library, Caribou Room in the lower, I'm not sure of the name of it, Peter will tell you, but the emergency exit on the lower level right off of the parking lot would be unlocked, and that would be the entrance to any programming for that room. Interesting that when we went around looking for different places, when we discussed different areas of where we might be, where could this access point be, we went to the RSU Adult Ed Center and talked to Dan McDonald, and he offered us a classroom. Well, we told him that we were going to discuss the library. That was our next meeting. And he says, it doesn't matter if the library takes it on, you still can have. It may be that you have a meeting that won't facilitate as many as you need. You're welcome to come here. So I feel very welcomed by Caribou in the fact that the library is willing and that your adult ed is willing. So we're grateful that you're anxious to be or willing to be an access point. This partnership calls for shared calendaring. Drop-in days for us, 4 hours every month. Your individual will be Terry Hafford, who will be the person that staffs it. Right now, we're looking at a tentative 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. She'd be that resource specialist that would help the seniors that need help, okay? We also are scheduling a Wellness Wednesday, and that will be a virtual activity, but it's also an in-person activity in your location. But it will be connected to all of the other sites. Other programs that we're looking at: falls prevention, living well in better health programs, caregiver support services, which is so important, Medicare insurance counseling, friendly volunteers of the AmeriCorps RSVP, and more. I can tell you that 4 of the sites that are ready to start are looking to host an Aroostook Civic Academy. And those access points are Holton, Ashland, Van Buren, and Fort Kent. We think they're ready. So what that is a Tuesday program from 9 until 3, and people learn how to advocate. People that sign up and register to be part of the Civic Academy, they could advocate for your city. They could learn how to advocate for themselves. They learn how to advocate for their family, their city, their county, their state, their nation. The last, and that would cover over 6 weeks. Each of those that I mentioned would be a week at a time, learning how to advocate in that area. The last one is stand and deliver, doing just what I'm doing right now, facing an audience that you're trying to persuade, trying to ask for change. What is advocacy all about? And so that's an important program that we think will grow, and Caribou will be part of that in the future. We are collaborating. We're not in this alone. Caribou Public Library is right behind us. Lifelong communities, age-friendly communities. Patricia O out of the University of Maine, Orono, has programming that will be part of our collective programming. Age-Friendly Caribou will be part of the programming. Elizabeth Singer is very, very strong in that end, and Penny as well. National Digital Equity Center is part of what Caribou is doing already, but some of the other communities are not. We're collaborating with Susan Corbett, and there is a new NDEC navigator by the name of Crystal Tilley who is trying to build that network. It only strengthens our network to bring services and resources to the older community. And NMDC Broadband with Jared Tapley is part of our collaboration as well, working to build, working to grow. So I'll end here. What's important? Navigating life's journey is our little tagline, our meaning, our purpose, our mission. We offer services to older citizens of Caribou and all of Northern Maine. And in your community, it's important to have those services close to home. Presque Isle's 13 miles away. Agency on Aging has one solid footprint. The rest, we're looking for partnerships. So we move in and we become a partner with the Caribou Library, and we have a home, and we have a partner, and we strengthen all of us, so all boats rise. So I thank you for considering and for being signed on to Caribou Access Points with the Agency on Aging. I think it's going to be a great partnership, and Access Points project is something that nowhere else in the nation that we know of has done. And so my goal, and I guess I'm an overachiever, but my goal is by the time everything's set up, we're sitting in Caribou, seeing on screen Angus King, Susan Collins in Washington, D.C. We're seeing Danforth and all of those communities on page 2 that you're seeing. And everybody can discuss common issues. So that's the overview of what Access Point can do, and I thank you very much for being excited as we are about it.
Very good.
Thank you very much. It sounds like such a wonderful program. Does anybody have any questions?
No, really. I mean, I think that it's a pretty cut and dry situation. I think that it's a phenomenal project. First off, anything to help the Rustic Area Agency helping our older people have access. I mean, as Peter has some big, profound dilemma, but I think this is one of the most greatest things I've heard in a long time, especially doesn't cost us anything. And just what the technology I think that's going to be there. I mean, it's a very nice presentation, but I think there was just, it's a phenomenal, I can't wait to go there. I'm at that age, so I'm going to go there. You know, what?
You're not old enough.
I'm 65, but I'm going to hang out with Peter, you know, but I think it's a very, I mean, I make a motion to do whatever we got to do here to make this thing happen. It should be, it's a no-brainer. I mean,
The memo is
So
in your
you
packet.
can make a motion if you
Yeah.
like.
Okay,
We need to,
so I make a
Have a
motion
motion.
to accept the MOU.
It's on page 52.
52, okay, 62. 60.
go back
Good, I can make myself up. Sorry, 54.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
Oh, right there, okay. So please make a motion, authorize city manager to sign the agreement with the Agency on Aging to locate an access point location in Caribou, the Caribou Public Library.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Just a question. I wanted to make sure, talking to our manager, that the expectations listed in the agreement, that we're prepared to do that.
I haven't read over them for a while, but so we're able to have we've double-checked like the ADA compliance over
Yeah.
there. The bandwidth, we've been assured, is fine over there. They're going to be open when Peter has staff over there. All of that is all, we've gone through all of those.
So your city's okay with it?
Yeah.
In terms of staff?
Yep.
And there isn't going to be any monetary issues that we have to deal with in
Nope.
budget or anything. Yeah, that's awesome. really good.
Excuse me, I should clarify that the monetary issue, and there is a part in the MOU that says, please partner with us after the 3 years.
Right.
When 3 years ends, the equipment becomes yours. Now, all of a sudden, you're responsible for a computer that might need to be upgraded. So the license with the computer is going to the city.
Right.
And who pays for that? What we're asking is that you still continue to be our partner. We don't want to leave you. We don't want it to be ended at 3 years. We want it to continue. So we're asking if you will help us and we help you do grant writing so that there is a reserve in case a screen gets broken, in case you have to update your license. We're in a partnership that we want to continue, and that means updated and working and equipment and a vibrant site that's used. So there could be some
Yeah, later,
financial-
right,
Yeah.
but not today.
Yes.
Just like any technology that we own that has to be
Right.
fixed.
You have to
It's not- yeah.
recapitalize it after a while.
Right.
Well, as long as you're there, may I ask another question?
Sure.
It has to do with the HIPAA requirement in the agreement you're asking us to sign, and I'm wondering what types of medical, personal information would we be
What could-
exposed
what
to?
could- What could happen is somebody might want to use the site to have a consult with their doctor, okay? They could. Could be a private type of reservation.
Telemed.
They look at and they connect with their doctor. And what if they leave some paperwork behind? What we're asking is be confidential about anything to do with medical records and other people.
Is there any specific training that we'll have to worry
No.
about?
Well, I think the staffing people that she's gonna have coming in, people that you have that are gonna be overseeing the project, basically are trained in that avenue.
They'll
So I
have
don't
to
think that there's anything
On
that,
our, yes, on our end,
Right.
we will. You'll have programming that we're asking, well, it.
It's just to
it
cover
likely
our
would've been
bases.
happening
I
along-
understand. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I will tell you that all of our equipment is insured for 3 years. We have liability insurance for our people, and we have liability insurance for our programming. So we're covered on that end. And thank you again.
Thank
Can
you
I
very
ask a
much.
question really quick? The lady that you'll have that's overseeing the time slot that's, that these technologies will be used and that people will be coming in, she will be kind of clearing the area, so to speak, before and after for such things as maybe forgotten documents. If something were to be left behind, she'll take charge of that? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
Or
and ask you to help me with that.
that, yeah, because that is something that that was a good question, that red flags for me.
And my staff are already trained in everything you need to know for HIPAA for our telehealth appointments that we already do. They've received some training from people from the Maine State Library when we started the telehealth pilot as well, because we do have people who have left confidential documents behind. They are informed immediately if we can get in contact with them. If we can't, they are shredded completely, because we have nothing we can do. I am confident in my staff's ability to handle it, and also that I will oversee most of it myself anyway. And also anything at that point, if something was left behind, would be reported to the security agency.
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, my understanding is the penalties are pretty severe for violations of HIPAA.
They
and
absolutely are, yeah.
We don't want any problems there, so.
So as far as scheduling, I think that's where you were trying to go a little bit with his staff and our staff. It will be joint. That calendar
Okay.
will be seen by both people designated, and we'll have a green tag that says we're using it for a matter balance class, let's say. And so when Peter or his staff go in to schedule the calendar, theirs will be another color, and so we don't override each other. And we're going to become great friends, because who's going to open? Do I need a key? What's the password? Do you have Wi-Fi? We're going to have lots and lots of questions, but we want it to work. And so we're trying really, really hard to make that work.
Yeah.
And so far, we've had great response.
Wonderful.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further questions?
Okay, Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Good luck. Sounds like you're on
Very
the program.
exciting.
Exciting initiative.
Yeah.
Okay, item number 9B is a presentation of the Caribou Police Station design by Artifacts, and we have Ellen Angel here from Artifacts joining us this evening. And do we have Rob also
Yeah,
joining us?
Rob
via
is on
Zoom?
here, and unfortunately, our technology is not good. I cannot.
Here, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep, can hear you.
You can't put anything up on the
I
screen.
can't, this is what you got.
Okay.
But they do have the schematic design, and they're, they have them all at their desk.
Yes. Have them
so.
here. Do you want a copy? Here, take these. Take these, Ellen.
Yeah, probably big.
We can give Jody's away, he's not here.
We're giving his away. Here.
Oh, that's right.
Look at this.
Ellen Angel with Architects and Engineers in Bangor, Maine. Thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you for being here and traveling to be here in the
We're so
city in
excited to hear
person.
this.
Well, it's good not to have to travel in a snowstorm. So I'm pretty happy.
Say that, Ellen, but we have it here in Maryland, we're getting ready to start snowing, so.
You're gonna get nailed. Well, we want the snow.
All right, we could use this, just not while I have to drive. So I brought a slightly different presentation because I wanted to kind of give an overview of where we are, because not everybody has been along for this whole ride. So we actually, our initial start of this project was, I think, 2017. So that's how long we've been involved with the police station and working on the project. Also, the one slide you see, is my other, close to my heart is, I was former president of the board of the Eastern Area Agency on Aging. And this program is really exciting because we don't have it anywhere else. And you guys have it here, with the county. We don't have it. It's a, it's a pilot thing that is hugely needed, and just congratulations. Anyway. But, so we started in 2017 on the police station. Right? So, we've been working with different city managers, same police chief, to come to a place where we're all on the same page, we understand what's needed, you understand what the current requirements are, because I think one of the biggest things is that I suppose a lot of our understanding of how police stations work is formed by watching television, right? I mean, we don't all have day-to-day contact with the police. So we see either stations on the, television that look like Andy of Mayberry, or we see some of the, CSI things where things are happening, and neither one of those is exactly what is happening in today's police. But technology and the cost of security have become a really critical piece of the puzzle. So in going back to the 7 years, I think in the 7 years we've probably studied about 12 different potential sites for the police station. And I think that's key for you to understand, that we didn't just come up with this particular site, out of thin air, that it was the result of really looking around the community at different potential options. Empty pieces of land that had buildings that maybe could be reused, pieces of land that maybe had buildings that could come down. We looked at a lot of different things until we ultimately determined that really the bird's eye site was it. So in studying the bird's eye site, and it was one of the things that I wanted to present on the screen, we looked at how putting a police station on the site didn't foreclose additional development, but actually promoted additional development. And so the difficulty is you can't really take access to the site from Route 1, right? There's a level change, and DOT has their own very strict requirements about that. There is access off 4th Street, but it's really limited because, again, there's changes in the topography that require a lot of additional grading. So the site plan that we settled on and the location we settled on was really based on going out there and looking at the site and seeing that there is an existing access off of 4th Street, and because of that, we can maintain that access point on 4th Street, but that it was at such a low level that you really couldn't get like a one-story building at that level, right? You're dealing with a two-story facility. So the original plan that we put forth in 21, yeah, it was one story, right?
Yeah.
But in working with the chief and how he works and with the site, it became clear that a two-story solution was the best. The majority of the public facilities on the main floor. So if you look at the site plan in your packet, the first thing you'll see is that there is that level, that access up of 4th Street to a lower level. That's for police use only. So the only people that are coming in and out of 4th Street are police. We've provided a driveway that goes all the way up to the other access point, and that's for the security of the police, right? You don't ever want to be in a place where the police are locked into the station, blocked in, and they can't get out. So we need the two access points. But the public all comes in from the upper level. Then if we look at the floor plans, the floor plan that you see, the first one is the lower level. So you can see that basically what's there are only facilities for the police. There's a wash bay and an equipment storage area. There's a workout fitness space, lockers, evidence storage, right? Makes for very secure evidence storage. So that's generally what happens on the lower floor. A lot of that could be unfinished basement. A lot of it could be, slab on grade if we need to adjust anything. But right at this point, it's just police use. And then the main floor is the floor that has access to the public. It's also where the sally port would be for the police to come in with anybody that would be kept in a holding cell, where they come in with the evidence, where they come in off of, for some specific reason. And all of the offices of the police department are at that location. The front entrance provides entrance to the community office, waiting area, an area for sexual offender registry, and area for social workers, because that's a big part of what's happening now. A lot of the issues that the police are dealing with are not, thefts or maybe, there's obviously still domestic violence and that kind of thing, but there's a lot of mental health challenges that are the basis for which crime is committed, and so dealing with that becomes a part of the police job. And providing a space for there to be meetings between social workers and also that, victims, right? You need to have someone who can talk to a victim in the station that's not a cold interview space that you might also be interviewing the perpetrator, right? So we have some different kinds of spaces in there. And the central idea of this is that there's an area in the center where all of the people who work in the facility can meet and have that kind of place that's safe, and they can, relax, have a cup of coffee, whatever, between coming in, going out, interviewing, doing their work. Because the other thing is, we're having a hard time getting police. I don't know what your recruitment issues are, but I can tell you that throughout the state, it's a really hard thing. And one of the reasons is, and we're losing people, right? Because there's a lot of burnout. So the idea is that you create a work environment that is conducive to people being okay in that place. And that's a big piece of this. There's some other drawings in here, structure, just to understand how this gets built, and there's some very nice renderings of what it is. So that's basically, as I said, we started working on this last year to develop the floor plan and the site plan based on the existing conditions on the site and the information that we have at this point, and this is what we call a schematic design. So the other slide I had was to explain the steps in the process, because architectural design and construction is not, it's not discrete steps, like you do step 1 and it's done, and then you do step 2 and it's done, and you do step 3. We like to explain it in those discrete steps, like this is schematic design, this is a schematic design package. It doesn't really happen that way. It's a reiterative process, right? It's like, go forward with it, you find out new information, it requires you to go back and change some of your assumptions, you go forward again. All of that, especially at this stage, when we're looking at something that's very schematic and very conceptual, right, is where those things happen. Once we get further down the line and we make more decisions and we have more information, it becomes more of a straight shot. But at this point, it's very reiterative. My employees, my young employees, when they first come working, they think they're going to sit down, design something, and it's going to be built. And they're like, no, you have to change that. No, make that room, you know, a couple feet smaller. You know, no, let's put that restroom over there and that, you know, access over there. And so it's that continuous change drives them crazy until they get used to the fact that that's how you make things better. As you go over them and you improve them, and you go back and you improve them and you move forward. But this is a schematic design package. It says, this is where we are right now. This is the information that we have and the knowledge we have about the building.
Ellen, can I expand on some of that a little bit? I feel like I'm like, I don't know, some booming voice in there right now. Try not. This is God speaking.
You did startle us, you did.
God speaking.
I guess one of the key points to this, you know, Ellen's describing the schematic process, but well before we even started that, dating back to 2019, 2020, there was a needs assessment and a programming exercise that took place, and I had the opportunity and the privilege of, you know, meeting with the police chief in the current facility, and I will never forget that building because it's probably it is the only police station I've ever been in where the officers are more or less so spatially restricted. They're required to eat their lunch at a table where fentanyl is potentially processed. So as we went through that process of needs assessment and understanding, we had come up with a program of requirements and a schematic floor plan that was a single story that kind of Ellen had alluded to that we were using as, you know, this would be the ideal situation. And I specifically remember Chief kind of at the time being like, yeah, you know, okay, maybe this will happen kind of thing. And then Penny, I think it's probably, if you have an opportunity to share your experiences of when you and Chief went to the IACP conference, because I think that was really when the program and the idea of what made this a 21st century law enforcement facility. And when I say that, I don't mean that it's, you know, the next silver-clad spaceship to make architectural records, but one that is a generational investment that will serve the city of Caribou for at least the next 50 years. And I think that it was, you know, once they came back from that pilgrimage, and I think it was in Chicago that you guys went, that you really started to understand and grasp some of the initial recommendations that came forward, and had even brought forward at that point in time some additional, I won't call it additional, some necessary programmatic spaces that might not have been previously considered. For example, the wash bay, the meeting room, some of the mental health spaces that are now making their way into there. And I think in terms of explaining how we got to where we are today, that conversation and that effort that the police department and the city has gone through to understand the meaning for these facilities is really germane to this conversation. So Penny, I don't know if you want to mention or tell that story. I'm sure everybody's aware of it, but I think it's a really critical and pivotal point to everything here.
So I was actually involved with the project from the beginning because I was working in code enforcement as a building official. And actually, I can, if I wanted to Google it on my phone, I could tell you the exact date that I met Ellen because we were both at an International Building Code training in Bangor, and we were sitting around a table at lunch, and we're the only two that are yawning, and we keep yawning, and And I said, I'm so sorry for yawning. I stayed up too late watching the Cubs game, but the Cubs were in the World Series, and I'm mesmerized by the game with the Cubs and
you watch
the
Super Bowl last
Cleveland.
night?
No, I'm a baseball person. And so Ellen says, same. That's why I'm yawning. So we bonded over the fact that we're both up way too late watching baseball. And then, I asked, what are you doing here? Because I was there for the continuing education credits. And Ellen says, well, I'm an architect and I design public safety buildings. And I said, let me move over where you're sitting because we need that in Caribou. And so we had a conversation there, and you also had been having conversations, I think, with Mark Gahagan and Mike Gahagan at the same time, but, being just a building official, I wasn't aware of that. So as we started going through the process, when Mr. Marker was here, I'm not sure if he was here yet then or if that was still Austin, and it would have been Austin would have still been here then. And then Mr. Marker came, and he's the one that put it out to an RFQ, and they wanted to hire someone based on their qualifications. So he went out to that process, which is how Ellen and Rob were chosen. And so that was a step. And as the building official, I get all of this information about building conferences. And so I would get information about the International Association of Chiefs of Police and this training they had for building police stations. And I would say to Mr. Marker, you and the police chief should really go to this training, because if we're going to build a building that the taxpayers are going to pay for, we need to learn from everyone else's mistakes. And that's what you're going to find out at a conference like this, is what you can walk through, because part of it is actually going on site to buildings. So you're talking to the people who built the building, what would they do different? We had 3 architects captive for 3 days. And Chief Gahagan and I sat on the front row, and we were so engaged. We asked all the questions. Then we got on the bus, and we would go from police station to police station. We actually saw 4 stations in 3 days, in addition to having all this classroom time. And we sat at the front of the bus, and we asked them questions all the way to the stations and all the way back, because we were so determined to get the most information out of it. And the very first sentence that the architects were from a firm called Dewberry, and they built a lot of police stations, and in the police station magazine they have some, and Rob has had some too, that were award-winning for different reasons. And the first sentence that they said was, the police department does such a good job of making do with what they have that the community doesn't realize that what they have is inadequate, because they're always making the best of what they have to serve their communities. And that really set the tone for the whole 3 days of class. And it was so true. And honestly, Chief Gahagan and I looked at each other and we were just like, okay, well, our minds are blown. And it's like the first sentence. And over the course of 3 days, learning from them about the decisions, about physical and mental health of officers, of people that have been victims of crimes, of people who have committed crimes, and by visiting the stations, because, our location is all that we've known. Like, I've never worked for another community. Chief has never worked for another community. This is what we know is what is here now. And so anything would be better. But then you go to the conference and you realize, like, there's a science. I mean, as a building official, I would know, okay, there are certain things that have to be in a building depending on the use of the building. And so this building needs to be there if everything that could happen does happen on the same day. You want to make sure that your police station, your hospital, your fire station, those buildings are still standing. So this building has to conform to that. Another thing, it needs, you can't be thinking about what do we need today. We have to be thinking 50 years out, that the building has to also meet our needs in 50 years. And as we visited the station, and just like Rob was saying, it became so clear that we were so in our minds about what we were dealing with here. We had to just completely forget about everything and really be in the moment and in these different public safety buildings. And the things that stood out to me a lot with going, you have to make it a space where the community wants to come. All of these places have community meeting rooms so that people get used to coming to the police station. So there's no stigma about coming to a police station. They have meetings there, Cub Scouts, whatever can meet in your meeting room. We had class the last day in a meeting room at one of the police stations. I've actually gone to an assessing class down in Massachusetts that was at a police station. And that's a way that they can be part of the community. Our dispatch, there is a lot of room for improvement there. We learned that going there. We learned a lot about the safety in the holding facility area, about processing evidence. I was so amazed by just collecting and preserving evidence. Cars are sometimes evidence, so you need kind of a place to put them. So if we have room to put them under, that's a good thing. I'm the one that keeps pushing for the wash bay. Like every meeting we have, I'm like, where is our wash bay for the cars? Because as I just told Councilor Morrill before that, I just can't stand driving around in dirty cars.
I agree, Penny. They should come to my place and come to hell with you.
Yes, there you go.
Think of the money we could save.
Yeah, there you go. So there were just so many things that we learned, and we came back, and I couldn't wait to talk to Ellen, and I had sent her, I took hundreds of pictures while we were out there. She did. Small things, like having, you can see that there's rooms in here that are open to the lobby, but also to the secure part. So that if you bring someone in for a chit chat and find out this person needs to go to lockup, it's not trying to move them, you can't go back into this way, you're only going out this way. How they make doors that are soundproof. The different, I can remember going to one of the stations and they were talking about recording equipment, and they went with a cheaper model that was untested, and they regretted it immediately. And so if they would have just spent 20% more and had a good one, then they had to go buy it anyway because the other one didn't work. These were all things we learned there. We learned a lot about how, given enough space, how the people work in the space, how they can collaborate in the space. We probably won't have an ice cream machine, but one of the places we visited had an ice cream machine when we were there, and we thought that was pretty neat. But what we did learn was the places that you can have finishes that are not as expensive. They had a lot of polished concrete, but places where you needed to make sure that you had that you were spending money on fixtures and equipment because it's stuff that has to last. It's things like, I would have never thought about this, but what we learned was their chairs have to be good quality chairs, and they have to be wide because they have gun belts. And so if you have something like that you're going to buy just for an office setting, that isn't going to work because you're going to wear it out in 14 months because it's, with the guns and stuff.
Width of hallways.
Exactly.
The width of hallways was a big thing down there too. Things need to be, easy to clean. Even that, we had a unit on, even your bathrooms, making sure that they're easy to clean and that you're thinking about, that everything is very intentional in the building. And I don't know if that's what you were looking for, Rob, but that's what I can remember.
You're making my heart sing. It's I don't even need to say this because you've been there, you've done that, you guys get it. And I think as we go through these plans and start talking about this, I think it's really just important, at least for me, and I know Ellen shares this, we are very passionate about this stuff. I come from a family of law enforcement that goes back a couple generations of firefighters as well, and at least for me, while the vehicle is bricks and mortars and design and construction, this is really about people and community. And we talked, we use these buzzwords like mental health and wellness, and Ellen started to allude to this earlier. The role of the police department is not what we see It's not
Oh,
what
darn.
you see on, you know, for better or worse. It's also, you know, not what you see on sitcoms, and it's not what you see on drama TV, but it is, you know, law enforcement starts with community relations. And the lingo in public safety is community policing, and that is about creating, you know, bonds of trust and accessibility and invitation and, you know, and then being practical. I think that a lot of times, particularly with recruitment and retention issues, police departments across the country are being asked to do substantially more with substantially less. And the best way to do that in terms of controlling operating costs is to make the building efficient. So some of the things that you're seeing here are, yeah, there's a, you know, this Penny deserves a lot of credit here. I need a wash bin, because when you're spending, I don't know, you guys all have four-wheel drives up there, $75,000 on a fully fit-out cruiser, we need to make sure that the salts aren't depreciating the lifespan of that particular vehicle by a year or more. How can we stretch that dollar effectively over the lifespan of the building to support our operating costs? Additionally, things like the holding cells. You know, we know it's not just around the corner to get to a central booking location. So how do we make sure that the patrol officers aren't on the road for, you know, 2/3 of their actual shift, just ferrying people back? So it's things along those lines that is rooted in this. I mean, it's all the way down to the details of the stand sit desks and the work that the patrol officers come in, they have to write a report. They're not bound to those tiny chairs that their gun belts get stuck on. So I just from a little bit of an outsider's perspective that has had, I use this in other interviews now. I've been as far northeast as Caribou, Maine, which nobody kind of references. I'm like, yeah, it's way up there. And I've been as far southwest as Ventura, California. And I just want to say, from my perspective, it's just been such an incredible honor and privilege to work with the chief and the staff on this thing, because it's one of the few clients that I've had an opportunity to work with that has actually done their homework ahead of time, that understands the importance of this stuff. So Penny, I appreciate it, because I don't have to be the one pontificating and saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. These are the things to think about. You guys have done all of your homework. So I think, you know, with that, Ellen, I kind of just wanted to use that to set the stage for conversation a little bit. And, you know, Ellen, please take it home, or we can open it up, whatever you feel.
Well, I think let's open it up if you have any questions.
Madam Mayor, exactly what I was going to suggest. I mean, I think we first all understand the importance of the facility. I think when I first ran for Caribou City Council, this was an issue that had been in the works for quite some time. There was a study that was done back, and a lot of time was spent on public advocacy group, public committees, all this sort of do that listed. You guys have been up here checking all these sites out, and this was, of course, the site that was planned on. I think that this is a site it's going to be. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the work that was put into choosing this site, it still allows access to the rest of the back of the property. I think that's a given. The committee that was, Caribou City Council committee that was formed at the time, spent a lot of time, as well as a citizens committee of like 24 people, something like that. They were meeting at the Wellness Center, and I mean, went around to fire station, to all these different sites in town here, okay? And thought about renovating, and thought about doing this, and thought about doing that. Well, when it was all said and done, they all actually agreed to build new and to build at the Wellness Center, at the Birdseye site. It was like they finally, after they got done arguing and put their personalities aside, and even though we still face this today, somebody will still come up and argue, well, you know, but the bottom line is, okay, it's not going to be a functional building that's going to service the community for, for 50 years. When you hear the price tag, or the original price tag that was submitted, okay, to the taxpayers, which has already been approved, it's a phenomenal amount of money, okay? But it's like years ago, okay, when they built the Wellness Center. Okay, the Wellness Center was a hot topic back in the day. That was a $5-6 million project, okay, just to have what we have today. And oh my God! So the bottom line is, okay, we have to come to some conclusions here, okay? What we're going to do here, okay? Because we're regressing. Okay, I really don't like that. I don't like regressing. I mean, I'd like to hear other people's comments, councilors' comments, but I think that we all have to keep in mind that the work that's been done by the committee, okay, the committees, okay, prior to this has to be taken into consideration, and it should be granted. So I mean, we can't regress. Either that or it's not gonna get done. And I mean, I've been here 3 years, okay, I'm on my 3rd year now, and it's absolutely, and I'm not like that, okay? I'm one of these people that, want to get something done, I get it done, okay? Now, the original design that Artifacts first came out through, that 21, okay, whatever, I did not like. I will be very upfront about that. It was kind of a space age looking building, blah, 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 okay, whatever, which we don't need that, okay? I mean, and that was always been my comment along sitting on this committee, is that we need something that's functional, energy efficient, okay, easy to maintain, okay? And I think we have that, okay? I mean, there's still a little tweaking that can go on, but I think we have that. So it's like, okay, either we're gonna progress here or we're gonna regress, and otherwise it's never gonna happen. So, and I know from your standpoint, and the money we spent, and the worst part about it was back in 3 years, okay, the city of Caribou spent $40,000 with Artifacts, okay, to do a preliminary design. $40,000 to do it, pretty much one of the site design thing or
I
something.
don't think it was us, I think it was,
It was like looking at sites and also the program, wasn't it the program design or something?
Yeah.
And adjacencies
Yeah.
and things like that, not really,
Anyway, spent $40,000.
but let
Yeah.
me just say, the other thing is, every year that you
Wait,
wait,
it's gonna get more money.
it's gonna be more money, because, especially the last 2 years were
Exactly.
disastrous. 'Cause
But my point is, okay, is we spent $40,000, okay, like literally got thrown out the door. Okay, we had our
well,
first,
no, not really, because we looked at sites and they looked at okay, well, you need to have this next to holding facilities and this next
Okay,
to
well-
dispatch and program.
I think the problem is that then there was just such a time lapse in between.
Time,
Right,
yeah.
that's what it was,
Right,
and
yeah,
nothing
it's
would
not-
happen.
So,
But it wasn't work that was wasted.
but now we are moving forward, so
Correct.
that's, I think, what,
I think
That's my
Rob's
point.
trying to answer the question,
Yeah,
too.
if I could actually, leading into your comments, I think what you're referring to is paralysis by analysis.
Mhm.
Right? Or in many instances, the cost of doing nothing, which always has to be taken into consideration. And I think where Ellen was headed with this is, the construction industry in the past 2 years has largely seen a 7 or 8% increase. It seems to have stabilized back to the normal 5% increase.
Right.
I sat through council meetings all across the country, and you hear, oh, well, wait for things to go down, things to calm down. Well, I can tell you that in the past 25 years, Turner Construction Company tracked construction costs. It has only gone down one time in history, and that was basically the quarter that Bernie Madoff and AIG, Goldman Sachs, basically all went to federal prison. And it went down by a quarter of a point, and then it subsequently resumed. So the odds of things getting cheaper are not in our favor. But what we do know is that if everybody here recognizes that this isn't easy, and we have to do it, then that is not an excuse to just plow through and say we're going to do it without any level of resistance. But or just spend the money because we have to. There still needs to be fiduciary responsibility from a design perspective, from programming. But let's not be fooled. This is one of the instances where the candle is definitely being burned from both ends, because time is of the essence. And every year that we wait, we're looking at least 5% additional cost. At the scale of a project like this, and any given law enforcement facility for that matter, I'll tangent here for a quick second to pivot, because law enforcement facilities, as we've all kind of already discussed, there's security requirements, there's parking requirements, not to mention the overload requirements that you guys have. All of those things render these types of facilities, pound for pound, to be a more significant investment than more or less any other type of building. And so when we talk about those escalation rates, the importance of making decisions, the weight and the factor that places on is only exponentially felt even more. And so I share the sentiment that regression should not be in the cards, because the only time something is going to get cheaper was yesterday. And you're still beholden to make sure that we have every square foot of this building should be justifiable. Every detail should be justifiable. Every selection of material should be rooted in the cost effectiveness in terms of life cycle. And to kind of anchor on your point about the community center, so I'll share a very brief story about that we worked with a client in Petaluma, California. I know that's the other side of the And so here we are in 2024, doing programming and master planning for the headquarters, and granted it's much larger in size, and the money's coming in at like $48 million. And you ask, think about it through the lens of time, that building has sat there for more than 50 years, 70 some to be exact, served that community really, really well. And you ask the police chief, say, and the city council, if I came to you today and said, what do you think if I could bring you a building that's going to last 75 years for $300,000? The answer would be, I'll buy 10. So, time is we are looking at it through today's lens, but it's important to also recognize that this is a generational investment, and the community's children and grandchildren will benefit from this through proper and responsible investment. That's not it's not just a wild card where the design team does whatever they want, the chief gets everything that he wants, and there's a sauna in the room or something like that. Still trying to be very responsible.
Councilor Terry?
Well, a good example of that too is when we first started, because I've been on this since the get-go, and when we first started, we were going to put a safety building, which included the fire department as well. And at the time, a figure came in at 13 million for both. Yeah. And now, here we are for just the police station. And so that's just shows you how the costs can escalate right before your eyes. And so I agree that we need to take our due diligence, but we really have got to give you the authority or whatever you need so that we can get on with this.
Do we have a cost estimate at this point?
I'm waiting on a cost estimate. Rob and I were talking today because I sent it out for cost estimating at the same time that I sent Penny all the information, and she asked for this meeting and for me to present at this meeting. And then I got your email, we have to have a cost estimate. So I'm calling up the cost estimator. You got to get it done, you got to get it done. She said, I'll try and get it done Monday afternoon. So I haven't, I don't have it yet. But we were talking, and I think our budget from 2.5 years ago was like 9 million. Our number was like 9 million.
9.9
Yeah.
for a 12,000 square foot building.
Yes. The building size has expanded. We added that community room. We added some of the services downstairs. That's why I said it in the beginning, looking at the basement, how much of that actually gets developed and how much of it just is, what we do with it. All of these things are decisions we will make based on budget. But if you just use those inflation figures for the last 2.5 years, and actually you have to go out for another year, because it's not going to get built till 2025, and you look at the additional square footage, I mean, instead of the 9, we're probably at 13. That's what I'm, that's stuck in my head. But if you tell us the number, then we work to that number.
Well, I think
we
we've
can't
had.
work to 8 or something
No,
like
I
that.
think we've had a number. Right, my recollection, 2021, 12,000 square foot building, 9.9.
Yeah.
And this current, and I love the design, by the way. I absolutely love it. I think it's functional, it's beautiful, but it nearly doubles the square footage of heated space, right? So the downstairs level would be heated and some of it's finished.
Part of it.
Correct?
Yeah, some of it's heated and finished, others isn't.
So just in my simple mind, I'm thinking, well, just throw 50% increase in square footage, and we're way beyond our budget at that point with inflation. And so my interest is making sure that we don't proceed with the design that we already know up front exceeds our budget and can't be recovered, with small changes.
Absolutely.
And so now, early in the design process, now is the time to make the adjustments before it costs us too much money to turn it back around.
So again, the whole basement, I think the parts of it that are required, the fitness area, the evidence processing, the wash bay, right, and the locker rooms.
The mechanical room.
Well, mechanical room, the biggest thing was by establishing the mechanical down there. If I remember, I thought the original building was a little bit more than 11 or 12,000 square feet because we needed that extra space upstairs. So we said, well, let's put a basement in it, okay? It's cut back in the square footage, okay? And because of the location, the lot location, would add us more access. So I think we've actually cut back on the square footage, okay, and used that space there more adequately. Because especially when it comes to running the mechanical, it's easier to run everything up than out, you know, at the,
And again, that's a big mechanical space.
oh, yeah, no, exactly.
So we know, based on, and what we're waiting for, one of the things you're supposed to ask to talk about today, is the soils, right? We don't know exactly what the soils are underneath there. We know we have a site that slopes diagonally toward the corner of Fort and Route 1, right? So it's higher opposite that corner with, you know, it's warped, right? I can't just say, well, it goes to this street or that street. It goes to the corner. So in designing that floor plan and that basement, the places that there's big spaces that are, you know, programmatically, we give them a name, storage and mechanical, are potentially spaces that aren't even there. I mean, at least at the scale that they are. So we know we can cut square footage. I mean, if you give us the number, that's what we work toward.
We haven't shared that?
Well, $10 million is what the voters had
To borrow.
to borrow.
And
Well,
so are we treating the 2.5 as
I mean, that's a
additional to
council
that?
decision. I mean, that's.
It's ours to use,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
I say yes, because the referendum was about how much we can borrow, not how much we can spend.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the, I don't know if I have.
Yeah, it was to borrow. And the other thing, going back to what you had mentioned about the, it was close to the 10 million, but we actually, when we look at that first cost analysis that you came up with, we were actually able to, and I don't have, we might have that written down somewhere, we were able to take quite a bit of money off that by looking at certain things that we kind of cut back. So it wasn't actually at the 9.9
You actually
as
were
it
able to
was
get it down a little
originally
bit.
presented. We got it
Yeah.
down by quite a bit, actually. I think it was closer to 8.5.
Well, I think it was just, there was a lot of contingency built in there because
Yeah.
we didn't have ideas about
Yeah.
soils
So
and.
that's the other
yeah.
thing. When we do one of these estimates at this level, there's a lot of contingencies. There's what's called a design contingency, like, are we gonna spend more money on designing something that we don't know about right now? There's a construction contingency, there's a bid I think
There's also a margin of error in that estimate.
and there's a margin of error.
That shrinks
and-
as you get down in your
Right.
design.
For example,
Right.
the structural drawings that, you know, presented, this is one of the reasons I don't like to share stuff, because it's so, like, it's changed since yesterday.
It's
right?
early in the process.
Right.
Yeah, I
So-
understand.
But that's conservative as well,
Yeah.
right? We do everything really conservatively at this point, because we don't want to find out down the road that we didn't budget enough money for what we decided.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's like my biggest and only concern is we
Absolutely.
gotta make the budget.
absolutely.
And I do not want this thing to derail, you know,
Right.
months down the road because we didn't make the adjustments
Right.
now when we can, a lot cheaper.
So, you know, that's what, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think, I'm sorry, it's hard to tell when I can.
Go ahead, Rob.
Anytime.
I was gonna say, I think from the cost control standpoint, right, we all get that this is an iterative process and we're moving in a direction. We are at the stage now where, at least I feel like for all intents and purposes in the conversations, the program has been fully vetted and validated. And if not, if something strikes out as, man, that would be really nice to have, but it doesn't really benefit us, it's kind of on the outside wish list type thing. And what I mean by the program being validated is, okay, yes, we acknowledge we need a community. Yes, we acknowledge we need some workstations for patrol officers, and I think part of the program that's been added here, which is equally important, is while it may not be present now, yes, we need space for investigations. Yes, we need a Sally Port. Yes, we need all of these things that have been vetted, and there's nothing that we can wholesale eliminate. At the schematic phase, which is where we are now, the cost control comes from making difficult decisions, which I would submit, we've already gone through going back from the 21 era of what makes program, what doesn't make the cut, what do we need, what are the spaces. So you might get in the basement, you might say, okay, we may need this, we may need that, which kind of speaks to Ellen's point about the geotech and where the borings come back. We may find that, you know, there's some space down there that might not be necessary, but truth be told, the basement is driven by the first floor footprint. And you'll never get the economy of scale back to just make it a basement if the opportunity so presents itself as a result of favorable soil conditions. So we're really trying to capitalize on that economy scale. So at this phase, when we're talking about value engineering and cost-saving measures, we are left with three primary categories. Complexity, meaning the complexity of geometry and the space, and we can talk about that from the exterior design a little bit. Size, which is largely contingent upon the program, and quality, which is really the systems that we're talking about, whether it be maintenance-friendly materials, or building as inexpensively as possible, hedging our bets that the cost of maintenance is going to increase, right? That life cycle portion. So when it comes to the topic of size, we all know that one of the goals and the objectives will be, as we go through additional design, Ellen talked about, putting the young designers through the squeeze machine, if you will. It's, look, we need to cut 8 inches here across this room, and all of a sudden do that 8 times. You're really starting to hem it in, and there's not excessive square footage, which leads to my point about every square foot of the building needs to be justified. So there's a little bit of work to be done there, but short of somebody coming back and saying, you're going to hack and slash program out of the building, I would contend that quantity has pretty well been established plus or minus 10% in terms of square footage, right? Does that point make sense so far?
Yes, it does. And actually,
So that-
if I can interrupt you, I mean, the thing is, okay, is that, first off, until the building goes to some kind of bid process, okay, we can make estimates about building, construction estimates, okay, this sort of thing, but until it goes out to bid, okay, to a contractor or contractors, and we get a firmer understanding, then we decide from there, okay, if our bids are coming in too high, then we gotta go back, we gotta cut the scope of the project, this sort of deal. I mean,
We'd like to be a lot more secure before we get to that point.
well,
have to be.
fine.
So, but in terms of what Rob's saying, we haven't looked, because we're at schematics, right? We haven't said, does the chief's office need to be this big? This little bump out that we have here, can we square that off, right? Can we shave a couple of feet and make that square as opposed to there's a bay or whatever? Those are the kinds of, and that's where you get maybe, I don't know if we can get 10%, but that's where maybe you save some square footage. And obviously, every square foot has a dollar attached to it, some more than others.
Sure.
So when do we do that? So that's the question. So then we need to sit down with your floor plan, I guess, more dramatically, and look at it more closely, and measure things out and decide.
Well,
Well, that's kind of what we do. That's what you're paying us for.
Well, I know,
what we need to do is move to the next step and
Well,
approve the
yeah.
schematic so we can get to the next
Okay,
step.
well, that's we're not getting anywhere here.
Right.
Right, we gotta do this.
Development, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a basic design, now we develop it. Now we proof it, then develop it, and that's that. How's that? Yeah, that's right. Okay, now, yeah, that's, well, we could tweak that. We could save a little here. I mean, I can already tell you, there's a couple of little things on here that are like, by moving the elevator and cutting back the stair a little bit, we can save some glass, we can save some money, right? We're already thinking those things, but this is like a marker, right? It's like,
Right.
okay.
I'm glad you said that, because it's a key decision point for us,
Yeah.
as the executive body, to go on or not,
Right.
to have that cost figure, to say we know, or we're confident that we can proceed without, exceeding our budget down the road. And I think any further development without that answer, I think, is potentially just wasting our time and
Well,
effort.
I would like you to approve it based on the number that you have, and then we'll get the cost estimate, and if they don't line up, we'll.
Madam Mayor, I would make a
Okay.
motion to approve the schematic design and design development document as presented. And
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I wonder if we could, as Ellen just mentioned, put that constraint contingent upon it being within the budget. I think it's very
I think
important
that's
that
what
we
she's
do
saying,
that.
is that they're
That's
going
what
to make
she's
it.
saying.
Yeah.
They're going to make it in
We
our
don't have a
budget.
choice.
Okay, as long as that's what.
We're just trying to, we're just
'cause I
trying to
really
push
don't,
this-
I
this
really want to
process
move forward
forward.
to this next step,
Right.
but I'm
They
very
they
worried
won't build
about,
us a building that we can't afford.
very worried
Yeah.
about the cost,
As we
as
are.
I'm sure you understand, so.
Any further
Okay.
discussion?
Yeah, I think
I
that.
would just add that I like the statement about the budget, and leaving it kind of open-ended to a certain extent. I think that the budget is, and
Not
I know
what
you
we're
guys have a
doing.
fixed point now, and bear with me as I say this, I think sometimes the budget becomes a moving target. We have seen many entities and communities and agencies over the years, as the project gets more and more shovel-ready per se,
Right.
it puts you further ahead of the curve of other law enforcement agencies. And with that comes opportunities for additional funding and grants, and that might be something like furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Right.
I've seen generators to the tune of $750,000 be granted through the Department of Homeland Security. So there's ways of kind of getting us to that finish line, and I will say that I know Ellen's team and ours collectively as a design group are committed to helping you guys get this thing to the finish line where there's going to be a ribbon cutting and everybody's going to be very thrilled with the results.
Yeah, I'm satisfied
Rob.
with that, so.
Okay.
So is it just, can I, just for a discussion, so is it just schematic design that we're approving? Because I had in here design development, but is it just schematic?
Well, to go ahead
To
into-
go ahead into, I just want to make sure we have the motion right, that's all.
Is everyone happy with how everything has been motioned and seconded? Okay, Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrell?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Then I have
Yeah,
a second.
so
That's
we
all
also-
separate, that's a
We'll
second
take it.
set. Yeah, you can take it back and give it to
we
me.
do also need
Thank you
to
very
address the contract
Thank you.
with SW Cole for the soil borings. What are the wishes of the council?
I make a motion to approve the contract with SW Cole as presented.
Second. Discussion?
When is authority to proceed anticipated for these guys? What's the timing
I'm
for?
guessing when they can get on the ground.
Site,
I
yeah.
mean,
Are we
it's
talking
frozen.
weeks or spring? Springtime?
yes, springtime.
It'll be spring, okay.
That's my guess. I mean, I'm not really familiar with their process to know if they can go there with snow on the ground.
Well, that's why I asked the question. It's not in here anywhere when they're gonna start and when they're gonna finish.
Shelley's still on the call?
I'm not sure. Shelley, are you there?
I'll see him.
Oh, she just unmuted.
Oh, yep.
Thanks, everyone. This is, I'm
See
going to
ya.
come up, but I see Shelley made a chat in the team, or
Oh,
and
okay.
it says they do it in the winter, so I'm just relaying.
Oh, they do?
that.
Okay,
okay.
so that's good.
I would like to add that, you know, I know this time of year is hard, but they have the equipment that is, as long as the site is accessible, which even if there's, you know, 2 feet of snow, 2 feet of snow built up on there, they can get in there with their equipment. The harder part is when there's no access, if there's buildings in the way or whatever. You've got such an open site there, I don't see a problem. They had asked about that, and I know we talked about, I think that they're pretty comfortable getting started as soon as you tell us that we can give them the go-ahead.
Thank you.
Thanks for the update, Shelley, because I didn't know that answer.
It does say that there's a note in here that says within 4 weeks of the notice to proceed, so something within like maybe a month or so.
We're
Shelley?
setting telephone poles or new poles in front of my car wash. Has been there for 2 weeks drilling. So I'm sure these guys can go up there and do it no
They're
problem.
already,
Absolutely.
okay, that's good.
Bagley?
It'll likely take them 3 days, maybe 4. I don't know how they have it set up. You know, they get all the information that they can while they're there, and then they have to prepare a report. And a lot of times we'll ask for the preliminary soil boring information, so we can look at that even before the report is finished, because we can tell. And this is the biggest information that we can gather from this is their ledge, is their clay, and what is our design bearing pressure for our foundation going to be. And that will determine, the size. So without that information, we have to be super conservative, our structural engineers to design it based on what they expect it might be, and most likely it falls within that parameter.
Thank you, Shelley. Okay, so back to the vote. Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That's on total cost.
Okay,
That's what I think is going to come in. I think so.
thank you, Ellen and Rob and Shelley for being here.
Are you bidding one?
Item number 9D.
Okay.
Oh, oops, sorry, 9C, I'm skipping things, is the overview of the 2024 municipal budget, and that's on pages 86 and 87 of our packets.
So we just have the time frame, which is what we've had before. We had 2 departments that were scheduled to be here, but they were unable to attend. They'll present at the next meeting. But due to the number of items that we had on the agenda tonight, we might not get through all the departments that we have on the agenda. So my recommendation is that we add a special city council meeting on Monday, March 18th, which is the 3rd Monday in March. This is when the charter says the public hearing and vote will be, should be on the budget. Further, the only agenda item on the agenda for this special meeting should be the public hearing and vote on the, so you have time to do additional discussing there.
Yeah, and I think if we were to do that, we could take some of these presentations for this evening. And
Well, we can shove them to the
Yes,
26th.
because we're already at 8 PM, so.
Yeah, I think we should, like I reported, I
Yes.
need to leave, but I think that we should. I think that,
I'm sorry,
it would-
Dave and Carl.
Well, no, I know, but I think that would just make it life so much easier. There's a lot on the agenda here. I mean, especially with the police department thing going on, which is a big agenda in the budget we need to really look at. But I think that we should have a special meeting and push everybody to that meeting.
Well, we still have
do
2
a
meetings
few.
before that that people can present.
Okay, that's fine, okay, whatever.
I'm just
but-
saying it'll give you an
Gives us a
extra.
little wiggle room.
Yeah, we need some wiggle room here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this was a long meeting, because it's almost 8, and
Yeah.
we haven't even got to the budget stuff.
Yeah, so I think that we should postpone it.
I move to add a special city council meeting for Monday, March 18th for a public hearing and vote on the 2024 Caribou municipal budget.
I second it. Further discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay. So do we want to just,
Do you want to do any of these tonight?
Well, with Dave here.
Yeah,
maybe
Yeah,
we could
Dave's
do-
here. Yeah.
yeah, I think it would be great to. Yeah, I'm sure. I think it would be great to have Dave come
Okay,
on
we'll
up.
let Dave do it. Yeah, because you're here at all the meetings, and then Carl will be here at the second meeting, because he'll have
Just get us in it.
Come on up, Dave.
January financials, so. Yep.
So Dave, you will be presenting on Department 40?
Yes.
Perfect.
Public Works Department. I don't think we need to go over line for line, but I will make note of a few changes that was either plus or minus. The first one that I noticed is I recommended an increase of $200 in the training and education. With all the new employees, we have a lot of training to do that will come up through main local roads. The good part of it is it's only $30, $40, $45, depending on where we have to go. So it's not real expensive, but when you times it by 6 or 7 employees, that's why I asked for the additional $200 above and beyond. So when I go down through the heating fuel, if you look, you'll see that I felt as though we could reduce that line by $3,000.
You burn propane though, right?
I do burn propane, and maybe when we get closer to before we set the budget, we could probably take another look at that because we'll have been further through the season. Remember, when we made these budgets, we were in November, or the last part of November, December, so a few months has gone. There are a few things that could be changed a little bit, plus or minus, but at that time, this was our best guess on where we were at. So another item that I made note of, and please remember that a lot of these items on here are done through the city level. Anything to do with wages, social security benefits, unemployment, that's not done by departments, that's done within general government. A lot of items, I mean, so a big one for us is the 051 account, which is our repair. I was able to maintain that, and if you look at how much we actually budgeted for, when you start talking about $170,000, $160,000 and you're within a few thousand bucks, I think you've done very well, so. It's just to give you a rough idea. So another item that I felt as though we could reduce a little bit, and I feel kind of comfortable with this one, is on the gas, that's the 075. Reduce that by about $2,500. If you look at the actuals, we spent $8,900 for the previous year. So I think, you know, the $9,500 instead of $12,500, that'd be a good accurate number. I feel.
Why? I'm just strange, just.
So I think just to give you an idea, so we'll look at it, that in '23, I budgeted for gasoline $12,000.
Okay.
The actuals for the year, last year, we have to keep in mind that November and December was a mild year for
Correct.
us. So that would kind of reduce the usage a little bit. I suggested that we go down to $9,500 instead of the $12,000. That's a reduction of $2,500. But keep in mind, I'm asking for $95,000. We actually spent $9,000. So we're close. We're close. And there again, if at any point through any of this you feel as though that's not enough or it's too much, I'm a big boy, I'm open to anything. So these are just my recommendations. The big one is in the diesel fuel, which is the 076. I feel as though we can reduce last year's budget numbers by approximately $7,000. And if we look at that, we can say in 2023, we budgeted 135. And we actually spent 116, and if we talked about, you know, how much fuel did we save in November, December of 2023 because it was a light season, could be $10,000, $12,000.
Like you're saving now.
And we're saving now, you're absolutely right, and that's why these are, and I actually made a note on this for myself. If you allow me to go a little bit further before the budget ends, I could probably even give you potentially more savings there.
Yeah, but don't cut your throat.
No, and I don't, I've been doing budgets a long time, and I think that this is something that we could probably reduce. If you ask me to buckle on it tonight, I'm gonna tell you this is the number we need. Let us go another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe your last budget before you approve. Invite me in one more time, we'll talk about potential cuts. I'm sure there will be more cuts. I just can't offer them up tonight. What I have offered, I feel comfortable in doing.
And if you do, a few weeks from now, you can just send that information to
Yeah.
Penny too and
That would
let her
be-
know, and that's
Sure.
fine if you think that you can come up with some additional savings, but don't try to fence yourself in with
No,
that right now. Yeah.
like I said, been at it a long time. I'm not gonna put myself in the.
Well, you're good.
I mean, overall,
Well, thank you for that.
your overall operating budget, and so you're talking reductions, so what's your overall total reductions that you're proposing?
So in the TRIO reports,
Right.
it wasn't broken out what I actually reduced and what we increased. I think we're all familiar with the large increases in wages to maintain a.
Well, that, right, yeah, can't control that.
The one thing that I did find, when it's all said and done, wages, everything is factored in, plus or minuses, it's an 8% increase for the department.
But because of wages and health insurance
That's
and.
right. Yep.
Right.
Stuff that's beyond our control.
Right.
You know? Just take, so here's another one that I thought would be, so my gravel, there was a time when we used to buy $5,000 a year worth of gravel. In the last 3, 4 years, 5 years, we have acquired a large millings.
Right.
And when I talk about millings, that's when we go do High Street or Bennett Drive and we mill that all up. That is a lot more valuable to us than gravel. Our gravel content has gone down. I'd have no objection in reducing my gravel account by $1,000 because we have a
Millings.
large pile of the millings that we use way more. I mean, so the gravel was used for like, we install new culverts. We always used to put new gravel in the ground. We don't do that anymore because we have dissimilar materials, and when the frost comes, it moves the road up and our culvert stays where it is.
Right.
So we try to use that same material as much as we can, unless it's completely contaminated. If you have a washout in the spring of the road, we used to put gravel in them holes. Well, to be honest with you, the millings work better. They pack, they're
Yeah.
hard, they become like asphalt.
Yeah.
That milling pile has become our new gravel. And although we can't eliminate the gravel, because we still need it for at times, I feel comfortable in offering up for 2024's budget, $1,000 reduction. I mean, 28% less, so. So the shim and patch, I recommended, as a recommendation, $3,500 less than previous year. I looked at what we actually spent versus what we budgeted. And for everyone, just to understand what that is, that's when we go out with the little wagons and they're shoveling in the holes, the potholes and stuff. I can tell you that over the years, the city's aggressive asphalt program has gone up and the shoveling by hand has gone down. Now, believe me, I am not telling you we don't have potholes, but I can tell you that compared to 5 years ago, the level is just crazy difference, how much better it's been.
You see it.
Oh, I see it all the time. I can remember when we would go up 15 years ago, 18 years ago, we were out pretty much every day.
Yeah.
You know, 2 tons, 3 tons, 4 tons. And in them days, we used to use just a cold match patch material. Now we actually use what's called virgin mix. We actually buy it in the spring. We put it in a pile and then we reheat it and it's just like using brand new stuff. So the program has really worked. I have no problems in offering up $3,500 reduction on that. The asphalt, that's our paving program. We didn't spend all of it last year. That's probably an error on my part. I usually like to spend whatever you give me. But one of the things that I didn't factor in when we were counting down that last dollar was we had a price escalator in our mix, and we done that for a couple different reasons. If the price of the liquid asphalt went up, so did the price per ton that we paid.
Right.
But the good part was if the liquid asphalt went down, so did ours. And the potential that or what we had left over last year, $18,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, out of a $600,000 program. That was the price escalator that I hadn't factored in. So I think we're going to come in about the same price on the asphalt prices. I watched the New England barge price, and it looks like we're tracking about the same as last year. So $17,000 on the asphalt paving. The manager did ask me, there was some questions at some point or level about our participation with the Maine DOT for the partnership initiative. We're not participating this year, so we're not expecting to add any additional capital funds for that program. But I will back us up a year or so. We had a 2-year program with the MPI, with the DOT. Phase 1 was to do Washburn Street from right around the urban compact line where the substation is, and we were going to go to the Collins intersection. And everything got approved there, and then year 2, which was supposed to be this year, we would do Herschel Street and the Woodland Center Road. And we shared a 50-50 cost sharing on all of them projects. It was probably 3 months after everything was approved. We found out that the state of Maine had it on their docket to do from the same start point all the way down through Hatch Drive, all the way up to South Main to Russell's Motel. So made no sense for the city of Caribou to put that money in there. So we moved the second project further ahead, which left us no
debt
partnership for this year.
Right.
Which is fine, we can play catch up.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, we were pretty short-handed, I didn't get everything done that, what I wanted to do. We were close, but, this year here, we won't have the MPI. So, my group, 123, which is my signs, I would like to increase that this year. The increase is $1,500. I have a very capable man working for us that's really good with the sign stuff, but the computer is about 9 or 10 years old and the software's about 15 years old. I'd like to upgrade them two things. That's why I've asked for the additional $1,500. Traffic paint. The cost of traffic paint last year was crazy. We actually went in the hole about $3,000 or $4,000.
Really?
Yeah, we bought the material anyway, but as you're all aware, we did not get to Bennett Drive.
No.
So I have some inventory left, so instead of the $20,000 that we spent, I'm only looking to increase the original budget by $1,000. We spent 19 last year. I budgeted 18, but the year before was only 17. I think we spent, well, you can see we spent 23, but I have probably $3,000 or $4,000 in inventory. That it was too cold.
Not right yet.
Just so everyone knows, we even tried to hire contractor as far down as Bangor to come up and paint our drive, but it was just so late in the season. It was so cold, and everybody was so backed up because of such a rainy season. So my department will take care of that this year, and instead of asking for the $24,000 that we had spent because of our inventory levels, I only really need about $1,000 increase over last year's. Item number 130 is our construction material. That's a case for us that it could be anything from catch basin covers. You know, you're walking on the sidewalk and you see that it's all caved in on the side. That's this construction material at $5,000. That's what buys the product we need to fix them things. If we go pave a street somewhere, we need to put a riser in there. It's not a lot of money, but it's adequate for what we do. So that did increase by $500, or I asked for initially, so $500.
Well, that's a lot of money, Dave.
I know it is. I think you can trust me on it. So that's it for the municipal side of the budget. I mean, that's not all the budget, but that's the biggest of the bunch that has changed, plus or minus, with the exception, of course, the salary lines and anything tied to that. But within the operations, pretty much a wash.
I got a quick question for you.
Sure.
How do we get the street lights turned back on in this town?
So that's a council level decision.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. That's not a public works, that's, and I think that it has been brought up that, in your neighborhood,
Right.
not just your street, but
Right.
in that neighborhood, Versant had to take down about 5 or 6 lights.
Oh, yeah. Never put them back up?
And they never put them back up, it's
No.
not their responsibility. So
Yeah.
if at some point the council decides that they want to put them lights back up, I can make that happen.
Well, and we have talked about a couple of other areas in town, and I think that they were looking into that,
Yeah,
right?
please, we're looking
So
into
hopefully
that,
we'll
to
get
give-
an
to give you a
update right
report
away.
back.
Yeah.
That'd be really good.
I have the
I think
lights,
at your
so
next,
there's no
your last
cost
meeting, you would
except
ask,
for
them, so they're,
putting
this
them
on the
back up.
radar.
Actually, after budget, we'll have our Highway Safety Committee meeting, and I'm thinking that we'll look at the lights, the street lights, the potholes, or whatever. And another issue is bushes coming out into the streets, you know, and things like that. So I think in the meantime, when we ride around and happen to see something, jot it down or something so that you
Take a
can...
picture, send me a text.
Okay, there you go.
The brush-
Yeah.
I'll send you an email.
Yeah.
But we can,
There are some people that when you tell them, or when you advise them that the brush is growing out and the traffic can't see, oh my goodness, do whatever you need to do to fix it. And then there's others that would rather fight you right to court. And
Well, it would be too bad to have them liable if somebody gets in a
So-
bad accident.
If at first, from my department, we have no results, I have the police involved, and then the police go.
Yeah.
And when the police tell them that they will be liable, it's a lot different than when you
Right.
first tell them. Point blank.
We actually ran into that last week with snow.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Mhm.
street, that a person came in and was concerned, they were almost hit, and that was exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And
So I'm the barking dog sitting on the porch, and I scare some, but not all. But when the police department goes, it's
Yeah.
this or this.
Yeah.
So,
So, we could just come up with a list and have,
yeah. and-
before you go ahead.
And a lot of times I get a lot of the ideas right from the bus drivers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah.
They're everywhere, right?
Yeah, they are.
There are some that neither I nor the police can fix. Collins Street is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as an example, that feller would rather take the chance of going to court than he would cut them trees down, so.
Well, we can
It's-
definitely put this on an agenda for a discussion after we get through the budget process. This could be something that we could definitely come back and
I
Take a
can
look
help
at.
with all that.
perfect.
Yeah.
I just.
And I won't bug you about the River Road. I'm not bugging you at all, except
So-
please move that pole, get Versant to move that pole.
Honest to goodness,
I know.
honest to goodness, that has been, and I had direct contact with the person in charge of that. And it was even as little as 2 months ago, where I said, if you can't move the pole now, turn the light on, please. I just can't seem to get no action there. I do want the pole moved, I
Yeah.
think the road is,
It's
the
fine,
road is fine.
it's fine, no
I'm
problem.
glad that we didn't spend a lot of money
Me too.
moving at this point, but
Yeah.
that pole is a hazard.
Yeah, it really is, especially if somebody's coming fast and you try to move, there's just no room to go.
I think once the pole is moved,
It'll be a different,
I
big
may come to the
difference.
council and say, I don't want to move the road, but I do want to put another 4 feet onto
Yeah.
that side. There'll be plenty of room. We'll actually move the road 4 feet. We'll move
Yeah.
the center line to the new center.
Yep.
And that will allow us to put some guardrails on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
They can sell
And that's
it.
all it'll
Uh,
take.
And that's why I put money into our streets and road capital. When projects like, I mean, that could be a $40,000 or $50,000 project.
Yeah.
That's why I like having money in the capital reserve for little projects that come up like this.
Yeah.
because They can go a long way sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Any other questions on?
I just have a quick question about the rock salt, and I'm sure it's just that standard amount that you normally would have, but just that, it's been milder winter, and I see that the 2023 actual was 95,000, but you've got 149 in the budget. Is that just because that's what normally is, or?
So we budget for about 1,800 tons. And it's been a few years that you're not there. So 2023 would not be a good year to judge it again.
Yeah,
because
I was wondering if that was
December,
why.
We didn't spend anything.
It's been a very, very weird year. Yeah.
Salt's expensive.
So was it 2 years ago you ran out, right?
Yeah, I ran out of sand.
Oh, it was sand. I
Yeah,
thought it was salt.
So we'll, just for the conversation, because that's a very good question.
Yeah.
Salt may be one of them items that I may be able to reduce as we go a little bit further. I just have to see what the next few month and a half brings us. I can tell you that I feel very comfortable as your Public Works Director that when we end the season, if I have approximately $55,000 left between the rock salt and the de-icer, that is always enough to get me through the November and December.
Get you started.
When we get to the end, before you approve a budget, if I have $100,000 left in that account, I'll tell you to make an adjustment. I know I need, 2023, I didn't need anything. That's why we had such an abundance of money left in 2023. I'm not ready to make that assumption for 24 yet. But if we haven't
never
used
know.
it on the
Yeah.
front end,
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Awesome.
Salt's up there this year.
So
It's,
our cost is not.
it isn't.
No.
Wow.
It might be for the small deliveries.
Yeah.
Remember, I buy 75 truckloads a year.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
We have a fantastic company we get it from. The quality is perfect.
Main salt.
I'm very proud of what
Yeah.
our city does with our streets. to be
Yeah.
honest. I
Oh.
don't brag
Very
about
good.
it, but
Yep.
I'm
Very
really
good.
proud of
Yep.
what we do, so.
Better than Route 1.
All right, thank you, Dave.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to do the airport, and then you'll be done with me?
Do we?
Yeah, it's not gonna take long.
Okay.
You have a new airport budget printed, just because I really wanted to give you this flyer about the economic benefits of the airport.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go over it, don't worry. I just wanted you to have it, just because I thought it was really interesting.
Okay, yeah, I think after airport, though, we're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be done for the evening with the budget, because we still have a couple of things left on here.
I'm just, then we'll be done with Dave, and,
I want to go back to
yeah. Well, it might be snowing, I mean, we're lucky tonight it's not snowing, but in 2 weeks it could be.
The good thing is unless it's not snowing terrible, I can leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So in the budget, most of this was done by Penny, just so that we're all on the same page. I've helped her in the past on the budget. We helped get the first budget pretty well set. So I noticed on the heating fuel, we've dropped it down there again. I've lowered the temperature a little bit at the airport, which makes a big difference. You can see that last year, we actually spent $8,300, and we're asking for $10,000 this year, but remember, we budgeted to $11,500. So I think the step down is a safe bet. In the electricity lines, there's been some increases. I think it should be known that them are from actuals, so we had to increase a little bit. We didn't budget enough for that airport for electricity. We're down a little bit on the sewer. That must have come from CUD, so that one should be a good safe bet. The building maintenance, we did a lot of maintenance. Penny's been really good to work with. She finds money for me to do these repairs at the airport, and I think that we are up to date. We're in pretty good shape.
We're in good shape.
I think we feel comfortable in reducing the building by $1,000. It was the lighting, it was some of the markings, and we're in good shape on that now. The last couple of years, we've brought that up. There's always something you can do, but I think we're okay with that $1,000. The diesel fuel, we reduced it by $1,200, but we're actually kind of using some actuals. If we look at it, in '23, we budgeted $8,000. We only used $6,600, but do keep in mind, we weren't up there in November and December. So,
Yeah, you haven't been plowing, so, right.
So when I talk about reducing it to $6,800, that doesn't mean next year we ain't gonna go to $75.
Right.
Because we didn't use it on the tail end in '23. We haven't used as much as I predicted in the beginning of '24. We could be on the same playing field, but that doesn't mean that next year we don't budget more money.
Right.
But for this year, we see the potential of, that $1,200 savings in the fuel. I think we feel pretty comfortable with that. Runway maintenance. We're looking at a
crack seal.
$2,000 increase.
The crack filling and stuff, yeah.
We are going to have to do some crack sealing this year.
Yeah.
We didn't go out to bid last year. I was just too busy. I just didn't get it out there, and I'm ashamed to admit it, but I just didn't have enough crew to do everything that needed to be done. I'm not sure that $6,000 will even be enough, but, because I actually did go out the year before. One vendor was not interested in bidding, and he gave me a preliminary price. I went to the other vendor, and it was 4 times what we thought it was going to be, so we elected not to do it. I will put that back out to bid this spring. I put all my bids for everything we do out, and you as a council will approve them all on one night. And I will have some crack sealing in the bid process for this year. But I'm confident it'll be 2,000 more than we, at least 2,000.
Well, we like the weather station where they did theirs. They had brought that company up from downstate or whatever, and anyways, but.
But we did reserve what we had left over from last year.
Okay, so.
So we've got a little bit to go with it.
That's a part that I'm not part of that, so. And then the last item was the avgas. looks like about a $5,000 in the budget, and we can go by the actuals. I mean, we budgeted for 35,000, we spent 27. We're asking for 30. I don't see activity gaining. I think we're safe with that as well.
He's pretty slow up there.
It's slow in the winter anyway.
Yeah.
And then it's tough because we do not use a product to melt ice when we have ice on the runways.
Right.
I have no choice but to put NOTAMs out. In the past, I always put a NOTAM as close the airport. And when I put a closure, I can close it from 1 day to 6 months. That's my choice. And then I constantly watch it. I mean, let's face it, I'm in my truck and I go and I'll take a look around.
Right,
I did have a pretty good eye-opener. Life Flight called me, and I had a very good conversation with him, and he asked me if I would consider not closing the entire airport, close the 2 runways. That leaves the terminal open, and if they want to land with the helicopter, they can still land on the.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it does.
makes sense,
I can tell you, I've been doing the airport for I don't know how many
Yeah, that
years.
makes sense,
I've
yeah.
never once considered that.
Yeah.
So, it's worked good. I also, my flight has landed in my yard before when it's too icy up there. Not this year.
Public Works or your house?
No. That's my home. So in talking, I think that the gentleman had to have permission to land at some place other than an airport. So I took the guy that plows at the airport and I said, push that bank back. And I gave him an extra 200 feet. What they explained to me is if they look to go to the municipal airport, because the runways are closed, they come in with a helicopter. If it looks like it's too icy, they'll land at my place.
And we don't have a de-icer for the airport?
No. So it's been quite a few years, but for a single application for our runway size, it's somewhere between $8,000 to $9,000.
That's a
It was
bummer.
never felt as though that we generated enough up there to do that. So we scrape and we scrape and we scrape. And I have actually even sent a grader up there that the department has, and we scrape and it makes the surface dull.
Right, but
it doesn't take the ice. And then
Yeah.
when I talk about a side profile, if we could get down on our bellies and look at it, the runway has these waves in it, and the plow touches on the high spots and the low spots stay full.
Right.
And it could be just a quarter of an inch.
Yeah.
But when you think about a plane coming in at about 100 to 125 miles an hour,
Oh, no.
no, I'm closing the runways. You know? Yeah, it would be a rough ride.
Rough slide.
It's not something I want to be in. And I think the landing would be the tough one. So if they want to come, the runways are open now. We had some warm weather. They were open all last weekend. And as long as the runways are in good shape, I keep the NOTAMs off. But
well, we're gonna make sure for the eclipse that the runways are good, because Taylor Swift might be coming.
Oh, my
We don't know.
thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Gotta go.
So there is no other questions for me. I'm going home.
Okay,
Okay.
you're released.
Very good. We'll see you in the next meeting, or if you have any questions, give me a call.
Thank you.
Oh, I was gonna.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate
Oh, okay, you
it.
can do it either way.
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
fine.
Yeah, so, because she's not, you're not going to do your municipal budget, but can I just say one thing when you do it? Is would you consider, please, because I think you need help, would you tack in something there for an assistant city manager, what it would cost, and we can discuss it during budget time? You need help, and this is not fair to you, that you're doing all this stuff and staying there. I see when your emails are in the middle of the night and stuff like that, and you got me worried sick, and I've had people come to me off the street or in the restaurants and say, you need to get Penny some help, and I said, no kidding. So
the budget does have another position in there.
It does,
Because
okay.
that was something when, before I really wanted, did you get it printed out? Yeah, sorry.
We let Dave leave during his snowstorm, just saying.
Oh, it was, it started to snow. So, I like to have your priorities before we build a budget, because, you know, our budget, what we're spending money on needs to reflect what your priorities are. And one of the priorities that was identified was that we needed a position, and Counselor Bagley had that as one of his priorities, that we needed someone that was like a...
Assistant city manager, whatever.
Well, yeah,
And you
except
could
we
do
were
your
calling it something else in here, resource
executive-
manager or something.
Yeah, resource
yeah.
manager, something, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just had one new full-time position, so it's built in there.
Whatever we call it, you can't be here until midnight all the time.
No, you can't, because we'll come down. We'll come down, we'll get you out.
Yes.
We'll call the police on you.
I know.
Yeah, that's right.
Does she even have a bedtime?
I'm
That's
just gonna come down and help her out for a couple hours. You're not doing
Put her
anything.
right in handcuffs and haul her out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good, because we need to give you some help. And if economic development is your forte, then, you know, you can do a lot of that and, you know, pass it off to somebody else to do what you do now and stuff, because you gotta do it. Because I want to go to my grave when you're still in the position of city manager.
Oh, God.
Even that would be out of my right mind, so I don't know.
Age is just a number, you know.
Yeah, well, you called me, you know, elderly or whatever it was today.
He did. I heard it. He
I
did.
would never do that.
Yeah. He told me his mother brought him up to, you know,
Respect
be
the
nice to
elders.
elders, respect the elders.
Yeah. That doesn't mean she's elderly, she's older. than
Oh,
herself.
yeah.
All right, well, moving right along. Item number 10A is under old business, and it's the findings in order on the 273 Sweden Street property that we had the public hearing on as a dangerous building. So I can just read over this real quick here, actually. The Caribou City Council held a public hearing at their last meeting on Monday, January 22nd, and based on the evidence and testimony presented, it is the decision of the Caribou City Council that the building at 273 Sweden Street, map 37, lot 60, is a nuisance or dangerous building because it meets the definition of a building adjudged a nuisance or dangerous under the standard in 17 MRSA section 2851 2A. That is quite a section. Because it is structurally unsafe, unstable, and unsanitary, constitutes a fire hazard, is unsuitable and improper for the use or occupancy to with which it is put, constitutes a hazard to health and safety because of inadequate maintenance, dilapidation, obsolescence, abandonment, and is otherwise dangerous to life and property, and therefore this building must be disposed of by demolition. So we do have a findings and order document that needs to be recorded at the registry and served on the property owners. What are the wishes of the council?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
What are we moving and seconding? To approve and sign the
Findings of order as presented.
I'm with you. Sorry.
Any other discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
You guys have a motion, I assume, somewhere? You're gonna give it to us?
What's that?
Do we need to sign that? They're gonna give it to us?
Yes.
Danielle
Yeah,
has
we'll
to
get
sign
that at
it.
the end. Okay, item number 11 on the agenda is reports and discussion by mayor and council members. We'll start down here with the gentleman who needs to head out of here.
Yes, some good news, okay, of course, as a council member to the AWS, the landfill board, at our last landfill meeting, we tentatively approved the 4 owners of the landfill, us, Presque Isle, Port Fairfield, and Limestone, will not be charged for disposal of construction debris when we tear down buildings. There's an amount of tonnage that we're coming out with, which is going to be split accordingly between the 4 communities, which is kind of a big deal. So instead of us paying, our cost was like $42, $45 a ton, something like that. Well, now it's going to be waived. I mean, the normal construction debris cost to get rid of is $110.
105.
105 to get rid of. So of course, we were getting a break before, but now we've discussed it with them as a perk to the members who own the facility, they're going to waive that. So I think that's a
That's
pretty
great.
good deal. It's something that came from
Really good.
myself and the city manager from Limestone. So we both worked on that and talked to Mark, and it's going to be brought up at our next meeting here in a couple weeks. I did also attend the first meeting of the Caribou Community
Yes, the strategic planning for
Strategic
RSC
planning.
39.
Right. Kind of different. I don't know, okay, it's different for me. It's basically what their goal is right now is to come up with a long-term scope, mission statement, scope of how the school is going to run and all this sort of deal. And that's not really kind of my forte, but I did enjoy it. There's good people on the committee. We'll continue to attend it. I thought it was something different, but I will be attending that as well. So going from there. So that's it.
Thank you. Counselor Kelly?
I have nothing at this time.
Counselor Terrio? Counselor Lovewell?
Oh, gosh, well, number one, I'm sorry for being late. Had some kids get out very late at this shop, and then I had to at least change out of my dirty clothes, and so I apologize for being a few minutes late getting in. I have had some feedback from certain community members, just regarding wanting more participation from the city, backing businesses. I don't want to name businesses, but just wanting us to back businesses and their efforts to bring things to the community. So I do, just not right this minute, but I want to be thinking outside the box of ways that we cannot be taking taxpayer money, but how can we bring in some kind of revenues? I don't know. I think we may have talked about tourism tax and whether Maine already has one. Do we have that in place? Is there something that we should have a lodging tax, do we not? Are there funds there, or is there something that we can
the
appropriate?
power of taxation lies with the state, so they.
But if they already have it, we can put it into effect.
I would have to look to see if there's a local option tax
Yeah.
or something. But.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I got from that MMA class.
Right.
And I mean, we have to research it further. If it's already effects, we can't create, obviously,
Right.
new tax. But if there's a tax that's already on the books and we can maybe, not that we want to further tax people, that's not my goal, but if we already have Airbnbs, VRBOs, things that are already out there, and we're trying to encourage tourism, can we get some of these funds to put back in to promote those things where people are really spending a lot of money for tourism, and help these businesses that they're putting their money where their mouth is. That is, I think, I just don't want people to feel like the city is failing them, and I understand too why we can't back them. Does that make sense? So we need to somehow support the businesses and these great endeavors where they have these huge visions to bring people, because that's really what we want to. We want to bring these people in and do great things for our community. And in the same sense, we have a budget and we need to tighten this budget and, spend the taxpayer funds wisely. So thinking outside the box, how can that be done? Anyways, let's not just add more things, but I'm just going to add more things. So that's it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's already a very busy year.
I know, why not?
We have
Just throw it in there.
11 months to go.
Yeah. I might as well throw my 2 cents in there somewhere.
Madam Mayor,
Okay.
nothing more from me, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
The only thing that I had is little thing, we did get approval at the Bennett Drive Redemption Center for anyone who would like to donate bottles for the police station project. You can donate your bottles there, and you just let them know that you're donating them towards that project, and they'll take care of that. So just wanted to give everyone a heads up on that.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Well, our next,
Make a motion for adjournment.
hang on one moment. You're quick on that one. Our next regular meetings are February 26th and March 11th. We do have an executive session on here as well. What are the wishes of the council?
Make a motion that we go in executive session.
Per what?
Finish it. I don't have my agenda.
Right there.
Okay, executives under number 1 MRSA Chapter 405.6C for economic development matters. Great.
Perfect, you got it.
Second.
Motion seconded, discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Aye. We go into executive session. Yep, everybody please turn off your microphone.